Hi, welcome to another IELTS video. In this video, I'd like to share two quick strategies that you can apply to fill in the blanks type questions. If you find this video helpful, come join us at the forum, IELTSnetwork.com, and for more videos like this one, visit IELTS.com. In this exercise, we are going to listen to a portion of a section 4 listening. So this recording will be a monologue and it will be academic in nature. The instruction words read, write no more than 2 words for each answer. In this exercise, we're going to run through the following 2 questions. So for question 31, the aurora borealis occurs as a result of on the sun's surface. I'll give you a couple of seconds to read the question to yourself. Okay, it's possible that you get into the exam and there is a word in the question that you don't understand or that you've never seen before. And this is not something to be intimidated by. Sometimes the exam is designed to test your ability to pull meaning from context. So here we have the word aurora borealis, which is likely something that you've never heard of before. And the important thing here is to know how this word is produced phonetically, so that if the speaker uses it in their speaking, in the recording, you're able to cue yourself to listen for the word itself. So it's important to try to read it in your mind, phonetically, so that you can predict what the word is going to sound like in the recording. Okay, now I want to talk a bit about underlining, and there are different strategies for underlining words to help cue you for when you're getting close to the sections that might have the answers in the listening. I typically tell people to underline words that they anticipate they are going to hear in the recording itself. So because this is a word that we don't know, it's quite possible that this is something that the speaker is going to say. And another word, proper noun, sun, there aren't too many words. I don't know if there are any words that could be used in place of sun. So this is something we're likely going to hear as well. Now, of course, it's important to understand what the relationship is between these two things. So the question reads, the aurora borealis occurs as a result of on the sun's surface. So basically, something happens here on the sun's surface that leads this thing to occur. Okay, and we need to listen for what that is. Okay, now the second question, question 32, without its, the Earth would be susceptible to damage from geomagnetic storms. I'll give you a couple of seconds to read that to yourself. Okay, now let's underline the words that we would anticipate hearing in the listening. So Earth, proper noun, probably going to come up. Geomagnetic storm, also likely as a, not all nouns will be named, but often these very specific, these very refined, these very precise words referring to a very precise thing will be mentioned somewhere in the listening itself. Now, what's important about this question is that we note this comma and the manner in which the word without frames the question. Okay, so this pronoun its is referring to the Earth, as you know. Without its something, and then comma, the Earth would be susceptible to damage from geomagnetic storms. Susceptible means at risk from. And so basically we're listening for something that the Earth needs to protect itself from damage. Okay, so that's the word that's going to be filled in here. Okay, so it's now clear what sort of word we're listening for. Is it both likely going to be nouns or perhaps a gerund? Okay, let's listen to the recording once and try to come up with the correct answers for both questions.
The aurora borealis is one of nature's grey spectacles. Better known as the northern lights, this natural phenomenon is generally visible only in the most northerly locations. Its southern cousin, the aurora australis, is likewise only visible in the southern stretches of latitude. Much more than just lights, The aurora borealis is a beautiful, complex, and sometimes dangerous interaction of powerful forces. The dance of lights we see on Earth is, surprisingly, the byproduct of an extremely violent and explosive set of events 100 million miles away. The surface of the Sun is an eruptive environment. Solar flares explode on a regular basis. These solar flares release large amounts of energy, producing a geomagnetic storm. This storm hurtles towards other bodies in the solar system, including the Earth, with spectacular results. Although visually stunning, the aurora borealis has the potential to significantly disrupt human activities. Its large release of electromagnetic energy makes communication satellites that circle the Earth extremely vulnerable to damage. Fortunately for us, the Earth has a trick up its sleeve that protects us from all but the most severe geomagnetic storms. The Earth's magnetic field draws the electromagnetic forces to the northern and southern poles in the same way a dipole magnet will draw metal shavings to each of its ends. Once there, the upper limits of the Earth's atmosphere begins to ionize due to electromagnetic forces from the Sun's geomagnetic storm. It's this violent ionization that produces the colors visible in the northern sky. So the next time you look at the aurora, consider for a moment the forces that are at play to create such a stunning visual.
Okay, so now we obviously heard the word aurora borealis several times. We heard the word sun, and we also heard the word surface. So we were cued several times for the answer to 31. Now there's one point in the speaking when the speaker says that the aurora borealis is a byproduct of an extremely violent and extremely explosive group of events that occur on the sun's surface. So when we hear that we should be cued that we're going to hear something that's going to tell about what leads to the aurora borealis. And so he says, solar flares explode on a regular basis. These solar flares release energy that produces a geomagnetic storm, but all we're interested in is what happens on the sun's surface, which is solar flares. And that is the answer to question 31. Now, as far as question 32 goes, we are also cued. We hear the word Earth, and we also hear some talk of geomagnetic storms. So those two words help to cue us. Now, the wording itself is a bit colloquial in the speaking. He talks about things close to the Earth, about the satellites being vulnerable to damage. So that sort of cues us a little bit. And then he says, fortunately for the Earth has a trick up its sleeve. So it's a little bit of colloquial language there. A trick up its sleeve that protects us from these geomagnetic storms. And then he goes on to talk about the Earth's magnetic field and how this pulls the energy from the geomagnetic storms to each of the Earth's poles. Okay, so the answer here is magnetic field. And basically, without this magnetic field, the Earth would be damaged by the geomagnetic storms that are hurtling towards it. Okay, so I hope those couple of tips are helpful and that you're able to apply them to your own examination. Thank you for listening, and have a nice afternoon.